Hey, Ajane, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you today, Whitney?
I'm good. So same informed consent as last time. Anything that we say is kept between us unless you talk about harming yourself or someone else. Um, Last week we talked about your daughter, but I hear this week you have a new
Yes,
issue.
I do.
And what is that?
Well, my sister came to visit. Well, first to start off, my mom, she's 73 years old. She's been single for quite some time. She's retired, she's well established, and she takes care of herself. And of course, she has four daughters who always check in on her and make sure that she's good. Lately, she has a boyfriend. He's just come into the picture as her boyfriend. I mean, me out of the four sisters, I knew about him years ago. I met him, but at that time they were just friends. They've been friends for at least maybe like 20 years.
So he's a family. So he's a family friend.
No, he's not a family friend. I've met him.
Oh.
No one else has met him until recently. And like I said, I met him years ago when I was younger, and they were just friends, casually met him. That was great. But recently he's come back into the picture, and now he is a more than just a friend. He's my mom's boyfriend, as she's told me. I just feel like they've moved too fast. He went from being a friend to a boyfriend to someone who now lives with her.
But she's been knowing him for 20 years.
Yes, but he is quite younger than her, and that bothers me a little.
So, do you mind me asking what quite younger is? You said your mother's 73,
He's the same age as my oldest sister,
which is
53.
50. So that's 20 years.
Yes, a
Difference.
big gap,
Okay.
big major gap.
Okay.
And what bothers me the most is, that it just happened so abruptly. But on top of that, like I said, my mother's well established, takes care of herself. She has her own home. She's retired. She's stable. And I can't say that he's not, because I really don't know him other than the one time in the past that I've met him. But from this moment right now, speaking, he doesn't have a job. He doesn't have a vehicle.
Retired?
I'm not sure, is what I'll say. He was at one point in time in the Navy. I'm sorry, not the Navy. He was in the Army. I apologize. He was in the Army. And I'm not sure if he retired from there or what it is that he does, but he claims he has businesses, but I've yet to see any of them. I've heard a lot of talk about them, but I've yet to see them. But I've been open to this. I've accepted him for who he says he is, and because my mom is happy, I've just went along with it.
So do you think that if the age gap wasn't so drastic, do you think that you would still, if everything was the same about him, but he was the same age as your mother, that you would still have these issues?
Yes.
As far as him like not working,
yes,
moving too fast.
Yes, because if he doesn't have a job, I feel like as a man, he should have some type of something that he's saved up for, his future,
Social Security,
something, some type of income. And I don't know if he does, because I don't know a lot about him other than the one time that I met him and knew him as friends. He doesn't talk a lot about himself. He's a very fast talker. And he always talks about these businesses that he has, but I've yet to see the businesses or see any profit from the businesses. So my older sisters, because I am the youngest, my older sisters, they all, except for one, live out of town. And the sister who's beside me, she has met him. Of course, she feels the same way. She doesn't have very strong feelings for him. She doesn't feel like, this is a good situation. And just recently, my oldest sister, who lives in California, who is the same age as him, came to visit. And there was a little bit of a riffraff, because for some reason he just kind of went off on her. And like I told them, I've never seen a side of him, but they got in a big argument because my sister basically just tried to get to know him and ask him, a little bit about himself, and he just didn't like the questions that she was asking. So it became a whole argument, and it was emotions running high, tears. People was upset, claiming they were gonna leave, and my mom, of course, she took his side. I guess because we're all older and we're grown, and she feels like that's her man, and he, I guess, doesn't do any wrong to her. She feels like she's fine with it. She's grown. That's her choice to be with him, and we shouldn't be, I guess, concerned. Which I feel we should at least be concerned. I mean, we can't tell you who to be with or who not to be with, but we are most definitely concerned about the situation at hand and him moving in so fast. Like, we just want to kind of figure him out.
Move in, so they live together.
Yes, they've been living together since December. And we just found out about the relationship in December. So it's like, he's already moved in. He doesn't have a job. He drives my mom's car. It's just like, to us, it kind of feels kind of like he may have a hidden motive, but we don't know. We don't really know him. And that's what bothers us, because we don't know him. And when we try to get to know him, he feels like we're interrogating him, or he's being mistreated, or he's not accepting us just trying to get to know him and get a little information out of him.
Is this the only relationship you've witnessed your mother in outside of the relationship with your father?
No. She's had relationships in the past, and we were okay with that relationship because, of course, not just because he was her age, but because he was established as well. He had his own house, he had his own car. I mean, he just had his own. So we just wondered, I feel like it would be totally different if, he had his own and they were boyfriend and girlfriend and they were friends. She could go visit him, he can come visit her, and they could still kind of work on getting to know each other as far as a relationship versus just being friends for 20 years. I just feel like...
But even friends at 20 years, what was the basis of the friendship? Because when she was 50, he was 30,
yes,
so to speak.
Right, but they just knew each other from they're both
Can't
in the
even
Masons.
say they grew up together.
No, they're in the Masons, and that's how they knew each other, from that. And at that time, when they knew each other 20 years ago, of course he knew my mom had just split in a divorce, and she was in a relationship after the fact years later from the divorce. So I don't know if that's why they stayed as friends, or if he had been pursuing her the whole time, or because he's been married as well. It's just really a hard situation to deal with because, like my mother, she is an adult and she's going to do what she wants to do, but we're just concerned. Her as her children. She has 4 girls.
Do you think, or do you know of, as far as your sisters and y'all's dating lives, has there ever been anybody that you guys have dated that she wasn't too fond of, where she maybe felt the way that you're feeling now?
Well, she may have, but to be honest, she's never voiced it or stepped in on any of our relationships, and that's the way she feels. She feels like she doesn't interfere with us and our husbands or us and our relationships, so why are we doing the same to her?
So how do you feel? Do you think that you owe her that same, I don't know if I want to say privacy or respect that she's giving you in your relationships, for the same as hers, for y'all to give her?
Well, yes, and me as one of the children, I feel like I have given that same privacy. Like I said, I'm the one who's here more. I'm the one who interacts with him more and who's gone over there, and I just feel like he's moving a little too fast. I mean, he's asked for my children to call him Paw, and like they don't even know you. Like, you've been in the picture since December, January, March, May. That's like 6 months. Like, why would I want my children to call you Pawpaw? You haven't earned that right to be called that. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like he's moving too fast.
Did she agree with that, or she didn't?
Yeah.
She was like...
She does. She thinks it's okay, and that's not like my mom at all. It's not like my mom at all to just move some man into her home. So that's why we're concerned.
You think she should maybe possibly just be lonely?
Yeah, I do. And I know she probably wants to be happy just like we want to be happy, but we're just concerned. That's all that is. But I've come to a place where after this whole situation last week, where feelings, everything got blown out of proportion when my sister was visiting from California, and she felt kind of left out because my mom really didn't interact with her as she normally does when she's here because he was there. I've just kind of let it go. Like, I just check on my mom like I normally have and always will. And if she says she's fine and she's okay, I just let it go. I don't talk about him. I don't bring that whole situation up. I'm just going to let her live her life and just pray, everything turns out to be honest and good.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that you have the right, to be concerned. It's your mother, your only mother. So I definitely understand the right of concern, but I also think that in the same token, if she says she's fine, then sometimes you just kind of
I gotta let it go.
You gotta go with it.
I agree, and that's what I'm trying to do. It is hard.
Yeah.
But that's, what I'm pushing towards, is just letting it go and praying that everything is, like I said, all for the good and honest. He says what he means and means what he says, and she doesn't get hurt in the long run because she is my mother.
Yeah.
And like I said, she is elderly. Regardless of how she feels or thinks about it, she's an older woman who's been single, and now she's met this younger man. And I just feel like, it could most definitely either make or break her as far as her heart, her health, all of those things.
Yeah.
So I just don't want her to be in a bad situation. And that's all. We're just concerned.
Well, I appreciate you taking your time to share that with me today. And hopefully next week we'll touch base and see how everything's going.
Yes. Thank you.